be subsidizing it to a great extent, you know, I mean, it kind of, exactly Katie's point, we wanna make sure that it's absorbed. So currently, kind of use this as an example, so we do have an entity that's on solar, they just came online, so we kind of have a real model to kind of see what it looks like and kind of what it impacts, and I guess what we want to make sure is we're not punitive to a solar producer either, you know, I mean, we want to be, I guess in my mind, as fair as possible with it. So currently, we have a capacity charge for the nameplate of the solar installation of $3.50, that's kind of our base cost, and so for this particular example, that comes out to $129.50 a month. And they're fairly, you know, they're kind of a mid-sized user. They're, you know, it's a business, they're not huge, they're not small. Kind of their average bills in the past were about, you know, $700, you know, roughly. You know, that's, again, this is just kind of a model I came up with, so it's not exactly their profile, but it's pretty close. $700 a month. And so kind of with the new way we did it, this is all based on 2018 stuff, so as you know, our power rates are lower now, but still, we're just that way, compare apples to apples. It would bounce their bill down to about, on average, $444 a month. So it'd save about $100 a month, you know, a pretty good decrease, but again, probably in their mind, and even I could probably make the case for it, it's probably a little rich on our end, mainly because if I look at it from if we take the power component out of what we have to buy for our utility and just look at the overhead from even putting away money into the utility fund, you know, paying for the trucks and the people and the wires and the construction, all that kind of stuff, it's about half of what our utility rate is made up, just in a rough calculation, okay? So for somebody like this, you know, it's about 5.7 cents a kilowatt hour, okay? So in my mind, you know, that would roughly equate to a minimum bill, sorry, let's see if I had it up here, you know, for somebody, a customer like this, about, you know, about $270 a month, you know, and that would cover, again, it'd be really lean, but at least cover those basic, you know, just costs of keeping them attached to the grid and the benefit of being on it, right? So kind of what I did, I talked with Scott about this too, and just kind of playing around with it. I haven't passed this back by, I was going to bounce off of you guys, get an initial reaction, so I did a lot of, projecting, because again, you're trying to figure out, you know, how much they're going to produce, which I kind of have some projections from the actual system, you know, how much they actually used in 2018, kind of how much of that they're going to consume, and I only have like a month or two to kind of base that on, so I'm going to again talk with Scott to tune that in a little bit better, but it at least kind of is making sense as I've calculated this out. So kind of what their consumed kilowatts were right off of their system, and then obviously they're have a surplus, because sometimes when they're consuming, they're producing a lot, you know what I mean, but they can't use it later on, so they can't really consume it, so there's just a surplus, and so this is what we potentially would be buying back. So that's where we want to say, hey, how much should we be buying this back for, you know, because in a net generation scenario, you might say, well, we'll buy, you know, we were buying back for 12 cents, theoretically, you know, this surplus, or, you know, the consume rate, they're actually, you know, they're saving the 12 cents or whatever it ends up being a kilowatt hour, because it's just coming right off of their bill. But the surplus, that's kind of where the discussion is of what should we be paying for that. You know, we're on the marketplace on average right now, because the way the power prices have been depressed, is, you know, we're paying, you know, 5 cents for a kilowatt hour on average. You know, in 2018 it was a little bit more, but let's just say 5 cents for using the math. I think over here is kind of where that monthly power cost was. I think, yeah, it ended up being, you know, 5.5 or pushing 6 at that point, but just again for discussion. So what should you be paying for? Is it 6%? You know, right now we've got it, so we're saying, well, we're gonna take out transmission and capacity as part of that power cost, because, you know, I guess in our side, the utility side, we say, well, why do we need to pay us, you know, this solar generator person for capacity? We don't get to have it. And transmission, well, we don't really, there's no transmission issue. We don't have to pay, you know, it's right onto our grid. So we kind of net it down to maybe almost half of the actual, so here's kind of the net meter credit estimate. So you can see in a month, August of 18, again, let's just say is, you know, our actual power cost was 0.0574 cents. You know, the net meter credit was 0.0442, because we stripped some of that stuff out. Well, by our policy, we pay 150% of that, okay? So that's that's the other question for solar users, are saying, well, hey, my power's worth a little bit more than that, because when I'm producing it at 1 o'clock on July 4th, power's really expensive to buy on the marketplace. Now, our average marketplace number is actually really low, but, you know, to their point, they're saying, well, yeah, but I'm offsetting some at a higher peak, you know, you should give me more for it, okay? So that's just their counterpoint to it. So this is kind of just a model that I played with of saying, hey, well, let's reduce that. You know, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to at least that, maybe a little more, just to cover everything. Because again, if I'm buying their power or power from the marketplace, that's, you know, that's kind of the rub, you know, that's the wash. You know, I want to make sure we're covering everything, you know, the overhead part of it. So you revise that cap rate down, and then what I did is I just did actually our actual wholesale monthly power cost. I just kind of got rid of this idea of like trying to figure out is it transmission or capacity. It's just, you know, it's just whatever average is for that month. That's just what we pay them for that power charge. So that gets it down to where, for example, this average one, gets down to about 336, which is, you know, a little bit more than this average, you know, the average I set the overhead, but it gives a little bit of margin, and it gets it, you know, as you can see, it knocks it down another, you know, average of $100 for that consumer. But again, it still covers my average overhead number that I kind of figured out. So this is, again, just kind of rough, and I haven't necessarily had Scott shoot holes in it yet, but again, trying to figure out, you know, I don't want to be punitive to the solar user. You know, we obviously want to protect the utility, and like Katie said, we want to make sure that, you know, fixed income grandma or small business Joe or whoever else, they're not paying because somebody else bought solar. We shouldn't be treating them special. Their power is not, oh, it's sun power, so we got to pay them more for it. You know, I mean, we got to be careful of that too, because that burden just goes on to the other user. So, anybody have questions? I know it's a lot that I threw at you here, but.
Do we have a contract currently with the users?
With the solar use, yes, they signed an application.
Okay, but is there a period of time that that's valid for before it's renegotiated, or how does?
No, it's just like our regular rates, it can be.
Okay, so there's nothing locked in?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's set by ordinance.
Set by ordinance, so if we change our ordinance, it changes.
Yeah, good question.
How did you get the solar production numbers?
This, I got it from the vendor. Of what is projected for their system to produce.
This gets a little complicated, but could you scale your capacity charge based on the size of the system?
Yeah, I talked about that, we talked about that, you know, because obviously you get, let's say you
Get
get,
a little house system that's 5, you know,
Yeah.
you're only charging $10, whereas this one obviously.
yeah, I haven't really projected this over a house system.
Yeah.
But, and on the flip side, you get like AGCO, let's say, just
Right.
our max system could be 200 KW. And so then, you know, on the 350, I mean, their minimum bill will be $700 no matter what, you know, that, you know, it should, if the bigger it gets, should it scale down, you know, I mean, whatever, you know, and that's why I gotta do some more modeling, but, you know, I don't, yeah,
I think the framework that you put up here makes a lot of sense,
yeah.
so.
It's just kind of an adjustment of what we've already developed, really, but I'm just trying to, again, I want to be fair to the solar user, but on the flip side, again, my belief is just kind of like a lot of their cars, there's just no free lunch, you know what I mean? There just isn't, you know, and so there's just a cost.
It'd be interesting to see what other communities are doing.
Yeah, and it's kind of all over the place, because again, we talked to the vendor in this situation a little bit, you know, he brought examples, well, there's other examples, you know, the parallel generation is kind of what's coming online, but the net metering is still out there a lot, you know, but I'm guessing as there's more pressure and more solar, that the parallel generation will become more in vogue, because, you know, like us, we allow up to, I can't remember off the top of my head what percentage can be.
4%.
4%, up to 4% of our, so it's not a huge exposure, but, you know,
Or
some of these,
total, yeah, it's 4%.
yeah, some of these utilities, you know, all of a sudden they start seeing like, oh, wow, there's a lot of, generation going on, we're just paying such a premium for it, do we really need to do that, you know, but.
Can you live in the city limits or in Beloit and be off grid and run your own 100%?
I don't think so, because we have the,
There's a limit of 25
franchise.
kW per residential.
But what they're saying is be completely disconnected from the grid. I don't know, because that gets into the whole franchise, the whole territory stuff, I don't know that. Yeah. But, and that's a real conversation, that even with these older folks, that's not in this situation, that's not, we kind of were joking with that, that's what you have to look at it for, what would you have to do to be completely off the grid, obviously, you're talking about battery technology, that stuff's coming. But even in that scenario, a lot of them are like, well, we don't want that, because that's,
Because, I
there's
mean,
no
that's what
reliability.
we're looking at. I mean,
Yeah,
if you don't wanna incur some of our overhead because you are connected to
Yeah.
our city utilities, you're gonna have some kind
Yeah.
of cost of
yeah.
that.
And again, there's still overhead there, because
That's
the battery technology is still a 10-year-old, it still lasts for 10 years, it's still, for a system this size, it's still 15 grand every 10 years. So when you do it outright, is it beat by 5 cents a kilowatt hour? I don't know, probably, it may not, you know what I mean?
Cost of battery disposal isn't cheap either.
Yeah, so I mean, there's got ways to look at it,
You can
but
pay.
what I wanna do is make sure that, now that I've got a live one, okay, well, here's what it looks like, I just wanna make sure that it's right, you know what I mean? For the consumer and for us, so it's a benefit to them, and it can be a benefit to the utility, because again, there's a time when we don't have to buy super expensive power on the grid, well, that's good for us, you know what I mean, it really is, so I guess I don't really care where the power comes from, but I just wanna make sure that on the back end, that they feel like it's right for them, and the utility feel it's right, and our customers do too, so.
Is this something that we could do in a step phase if we had to? Like we could lower or change that rate part one, year one, and then change the remainder part two or something if we decide if that,
Yeah, I mean, you could, my recommendation would be just let's figure out what it should be and just change it. Primarily so that everybody knows what they're working with, because it's just gonna be, it's part of our life, we're looking at solar ourselves, so it's part of what it's gonna be. That way they know what it's working on, and I think the protection on the backside, again, is we limit how much should be on our grid, if it's solar anyways, Anyway. so.
Interesting project. Okay, any other questions on the parallel generator? We'll move on to the fairgrounds purchase discussion. See if we have,
I kind of wrote that wrong, so I'm not purchasing the fairgrounds, so.
yeah, we're not purchasing.
Terry, we're not purchasing the fair, yeah, some land the fair board owns, how's that?
And the fair, okay.
Jason spread.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll discuss the property at the fairgrounds.
There you go.
We got certain, all three of you gonna come up and speak, or Spencer, or Doug, or questions?
No,
Okay, so specifically, this is 30 acres, for those, since we've
yeah.
open now, this is 30 acres that contains, approximately 30, that contains the sports complex, the water tower, and then included in that is about a 5 to 9, what is that little chunk?
Over here,
Yeah.
I think that's like 8 acres.
That potentially,
Roughly.
that would connect to our cemetery, so,
It's like the sports complex, basically, Terry.
just so we're all on the same page, because we all know what we're talking about, but.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think the big thing is, now we're kind of out here and invite Spencer and whoever, from the fair board, just to kind of talk more candidly about, kind of where we're at as a governing body as far as, the price and the value, kind of where we're at, and try to see if there's any questions, now you guys can talk directly with each other.
You guys have some, come on up, Spencer.
I'm okay here. Basically what we're trying to do is get you guys your ground so you can keep it, doing the sports complex and all that. I know you guys want to improve that. We want to take that money and put it to a building for, community things. I mean, wedding dances, meetings, anything. Just a small convention center, I guess you will. Eventually put a kitchen and stuff in it. We got Carrico's, we got CVA, Nutrien, AGCO, all those places. They go other places to have, trainings. They can come here. Endless, I We wanna make the rent affordable, of course, and, you know, roughly around 100 to 100 by 120 building is kinda what we're looking at. It's kinda our goal.
What is it you're asking?
Uh, Basically, we're just trying, I mean, Jason and Jim Bell came down, what, probably a year and a half ago?
Yeah, that's it.
Something like that, just to start in, maybe to talk about, cause there was a couple
Cemetery
years
ground, I
left
think,
about the
yeah.
cemetery. And then it just kinda went on, it's like, well, you know, we could kinda do this and maybe both benefit out of it.
The big concern that we've had is the difference in price that we were willing to go to and that you had come to. That was the sticking point that we came to at our last meeting. I can't remember the exact figure, Jason, if you have that on hand.
Well, I think, you know, we talked about, we were at 225 or something thereabouts at our max thing, and then I think you guys are above that, but then we kinda talked about 250-ish was kind of a number, but that's, you know, that's I think what we talked about last time was.
So is that what you're